Dan, good morning. Thanks for getting up with us.
Good morning.
Dan, since the Philly game, we really felt like, hey, the defense is going to be a side of the ball that we can really count on, and it's been struggle after struggle. What's been the toughest challenge for this defense really since you guys faced the Giants?
Yeah, well, I think the big thing has been just the explosives. You know, we've given up a lot of explosive, particularly passes. You know, that's where we got hit a little bit. That started against the Giants because I'm with you. We've played very dominant against Philadelphia, and then that Giants game we got hit on some stuff, and it's become a little bit of a common theme, you know, and there again, that's the reason being there's a number of things that play into it, and it's always going to be rushing coverage at the same time. I think we can help those guys a little bit on the perimeter, but certainly we got to play more consistent.
With Aleem McNeil, is it that he's not fully back from the ACL? Why do you think we haven't seen more impact from Aleem lately?
I don't. I know Mac feels like he could play better. He holds himself to high standards, and we know there's more in there, you know. And sometimes there's a lot of things that go into it, but sometimes you process things a little too much instead of cutting it loose. You know, you're thinking about the look, what is the formation, all these things. But I know he believes he can play better, and we all do. So Mac, he's going to go back to work, and he'll be all right.
When you mention helping those guys on the edges a little bit more, and I know that, hey, when you're on an island, it's tough. You're going to be highlighted. You're going to give up some plays. But how do you give those guys some help? And when you do, what's the risk? Where are you then vulnerable?
Well, I think, you're just a little bit more safety help in some areas, and then you become vulnerable in the box, you know. You become vulnerable in the middle of the defense. You put a lot of strain on the linebackers in coverage, and then you put a strain just on the run game in the front seven. But that's also, we got some pretty good players there too, and that can handle the load. And if that means we put more on Jack Campbell and Reeder and those guys, then we'll do it.
Talking to Lions head coach Dan Campbell, is there a common theme with some of the run game struggles, specifically looking at like the NFC heavyweight games, the Eagles, the Packers, the Rams? When you look back at the tape, is there anything that you're looking at saying, yeah, that's the common theme?
Well, I know this. We haven't been able to run the ball consistent enough against those teams. You know, some of these teams that have a really good D-line, we have not been consistent enough. And I'm always going to be critical of myself. And do you call a little bit different types of runs? Did you try to give enough variety to help those guys? So, I'm always going to be critical of myself.
At the beginning of that Rams game, obviously you take that first possession down, and you're sitting there at, I believe it was the 25-yard line. It's 4th and 4, and we're all sitting in front of our TVs going, is this a situation where Dan goes for it or kicks the field goal? You decided and elected to kick the field goal. Good or not good, didn't matter. What went into the decision for you in that situation, 4th and 4 on the 25, to kick the field goal versus going for it?
Well, I think for me going into that game, there's always factors. Of course, there's things that I'm drawn to want to go for it more. That's my nature. But I also know there's factors I go into. What are we going to get? What do they have? What are our matchups? But what do we have play-wise? And then protection, all of those. And so that was just a tick out of my range. That was just a tick out of my range to go for it against that opponent with where we were at.
Going back to the run game, you said maybe you could call different runs or different plays. We just wonder if you have the personnel to execute the way you did in previous years. So we keep looking to see, could there be a move made? Is it maybe more Miles Frazier? Is that a guy that you want to see? Maybe that makes the difference up front, because even if you call the right play, if it's not blocked up front, it's not going anywhere.
Well, we're always going to look at personnel. I mean, that's what we do too. I mean, it's we're critical of ourselves, but we look at the personnel and can we get some help in different areas that would make us a better team, or do you stay pat or what? We're always looking at that. But I just think, I can always help with, do we need more? Here's the thing, man. I've said this before, everybody's got warts in this league, man. Every team, even the good ones. And so, where can you help supplement an area that may be deficient? Are there, do we need to throw it more? Do we need more perimeter runs? Do we do different style of run? Do we just change some things up? And that's what I'm tasked with. My staff is as well. And so we got to be better. We can be better.
As offensive play caller, do you feel the pressure to have to score on every drive?
Well, I think you get in a game like that the other day, you feel like, and in going in, I knew we'd need to score some points. That's a very good offense, and that quarterback is playing at a very high level, has for a number of years. So we knew we were going to need to score some points. Just, they've done that to every defense they've faced. They've been able to score. So, the other day, you felt like we were going to need to score some points. And really that third quarter crushed us. We go out, we have 3 and outs. That's awful. That's not good enough. And that got us in a bad way.
As you go down the stretch here, does it feel like you guys are running out of time, just knowing you don't control your own destiny and there's only so many games left?
Well, we only we only have 3 left here and so, this is it. I mean, we got to win these last 3. And, there is no more, there is no margin for error now. We talk about how minute it is. There is none. So we must win. We must win. And that's just fine. That's what we're in this business for, and that's why you love this game, man. It's frustrating as hell, but my God, it's so competitive. And that's what you love about it too, man. So it's going to take every one of us. It's going to take all 3 phases. And you wouldn't want it any other way either, by the way. So let's go.
Who are the guys, whether it's in terms of a leadership role or just performance on the field, that you have to have a great performance if you're going to win these final 3 games? And let's just say the Steelers. That's the one that's next. Who is it that has to step up for you?
Well, I mean, I would name a lot of guys. I would, and there's a lot of guys that do this every week for us, play at a high level. Jared Goff is going to have to play at a high level. St. Brown's going to have to play at a high level. Gibbs is going to have to play at a high level. Hutch, freaking Jack, Alex, Muhammad, Reeder, Mac. I mean, it's going to take everybody. We can't just get away with a few of our guys playing well. It's going to take every one of our heavy hitters to show up and show up big and consistent. And then they got to pull some of these other guys with them.
I do want to ask you about Roy Lopez. He seems to be a defensive tackle that's been very effective for you. Wasn't a marquee signing. What have you seen from him, and what has he brought to this team?
Man, he's been an excellent addition for us. He really has. I mean, he's a force in the run game, man. He's a load. He anchors in there. But then he's quick enough, fast enough, strong enough, plays with leverage to get an edge, and he's a disruptive player, and he's been an outstanding addition for us, man. Really love that guy. And he practices his tail off, too. I mean, what you see in the games, he gives you that every day.
Dan, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they played last night. Want to get your initial thoughts on the matchup, but also, how do you watch last night? Because as a fan, we're watching very differently. Are you taking notes? What's it like when you're not playing and you have a chance to watch like that?
Well, actually, I'll be honest with you. I watched after the fact. Sometimes I do, but last night I didn't. Trying to catch up with the game we just came out of and making adjustments, and then really getting on to the cut-ups before that game. So I haven't even watched it in totality. I've just seen cut-ups of that early this morning. So, but when I do, I just take notes as they go and look at different things as much as you can from the TV copy.
What is your thought on the matchup this week with the Steelers?
Well, they're a good team. They always are. Coach Tomlin's a hell of a coach. They're competitive. They're always in the running. The division is up for grabs for them. They have a hold of it. They got a grasp of it, and they're a rugged style defense. They're going to make you earn it in the run game, and they're going to hit you in the pass game. And offensively, they're going to line up in heavy, a little bit like what the Rams did, but a little more downhill, boot style, in your face. They're going to get down and dirty, man. And they've got a quarterback now that's very efficient with it and can throw it around the yard. So it's a good team, and they're in the running. So we got our hands full.
Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Dan, thanks for your time.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks, Dan.
It's 97.1.